It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. When it comes to scaling Agile, one thing that I learned very early on is that properly managing the scaled implementation is probably the most critical piece. Even more critical than whether you choose safe or less, or it doesn't matter which way you choose to do it. It's how it's governed, how it's managed, how it's introduced, and how it's launched that make all the difference in the world. So a core principle of Agile is what you hear people refer to as a self-organized team. And that means that the team's going to decide the best way to work together and who's best to work with and how they're going to accomplish their goals. But collaboration with stakeholders is also an agile principle that the team sometimes doesn't consider. Traditional performance management makes these two principles in conflict so that you don't necessarily have everyone on the same page. Because if you think about it, when you're looking at how you measure productivity, sometimes and oftentimes it refers on an individual's performance, measures against achieving KPIs or OKRs. It sometimes goes upon improving the number of widgets delivered, which I know sounds scary, but it just happens. But the truth is, even some more enlightened organizations that do performance reviews throughout the year rely on individuals' performance and don't take into consideration the variables that lie beyond the individual's control. So, if you manage a couple of teams, if you are in that position, uh, you can figure it out and you can make it workable. Trying to muddle through individual performance, but you'll find that as a leader, you'll constantly wind up in what's called reactive mode. So you'll constantly be chasing desired outcomes and focused on the finite actions instead of focused on how you can properly scale agility within your organization. So, in a truly agile environment, individual performance must be tied to team performance relative to the mission. You need to get to the point where you're looking at the team as a whole and not as a group of individuals. You need to look at it as a team and not a working group. There, I said it. It just makes it easier because then if the team succeeds, everyone succeeds. If the team doesn't succeed, even if you're doing your best, you didn't help the team to succeed. You were ignoring their cries for help. So I think the key to doing scaled implementation correctly is to start by considering the first mission. And the first mission is equity and collaboration. And what I mean by that is we want to make sure that people understand the importance of lifting those who may not be at the same place as you are so that continual improvement can occur. So that you have individuals and teams who are always seeking their next opportunity to help someone else and uplift someone else so that they can continue to grow, so that they can get better and better at what they do. The desired outcome in a team's work from the perspective of its beneficiaries should be to work together, right? Typically, management focuses on overarching goals such as revenue or cost, and they look at minutia things to try to determine whether you made it or not. But the truth is, we should be focused on impact because impact is the result of outcome, and we should be focused on outcomes and not outputs. Here's another tip: any metrics that represent the desired outcome, uh, looking at it from the work that contributed to a larger product or service being delivered, those metrics should be measured across a team or across an organization. Good metrics measure the completeness of what we've done. Better metrics or best metrics measure the positive impact to the people who are the end consumers of the product or service that we're building. And sometimes those are harder to track. Social media sentiment, how people feel about value, uh, net promoter score, those things are harder to gauge. So I think that we also need to consider having strategic and behavioral guardrails. Knowing where someone can have impact and what they can do and how to avoid sets of limitations that the team might run into enables them to focus on the things that'll drive the biggest value up front and have the most immediate impact so that they can get those things delivered quicker. So I think if a team's social interaction reinforces their ability to apply core values, that's going to be when they're in their best place. And then, of course, we need to also consider things like reporting cadence. Teams should be responsible for sharing their progress, metrics, challenges, etc., on a regular basis. Now, many people use their daily scrum for this. Other people have other metrics that they use or follow, burn up charts, etc. But I think that as long as we understand what the well defined mission is, and we understand how to allow the team to become high performing, and that we let the team have some level of autonomy, that they're eventually going to make it to a scaled, agile, successful implementation. Then you can look at the individuals on a team as an individual on a team and decide whether we need to reallocate people to other teams, if the team that we have is good and they're gelling and they culturally are a good fit for each other as well as educationally. We also need to look at an individual's performance and say, hey, is this person behind because they need some additional training or they don't have the skill set? Or did they just have some personal event happen in their life? I mean, there's more to it than just this person's struggling, let's get rid of them. We need to make sure that we're all equal and that we're helping each other. And I think that when we get to that point where teams can start checking on each other and making things right, then you have leaders who benefit in their own careers when they learn how to take a step back and be a mentor and not just constantly manage. They learn the benefit of helping other people develop expertise and they reap the rewards of that expertise being built. So, in summary, I think the biggest potential benefit an organization can have is to stop focusing so much attention on organizing people and making sure the people are perfect and start placing that same attention, if not more, on organizing the work that needs to be done so it's easily consumable by the teams and you can have a desired outcome that yields high impact. So, there you have it. I hope that was helpful. It's just one of those things that I think people don't often consider. So if you have a topic you want us to cover, remember you can always reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com where we'd love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.